This from Hev, who says Starmer is just working at what he wants, sod the country and everyone else. He is a sneaky, backstabbing traitor to the British. Keir Starmer should be called Darth Utrendus, master of gradual betrayal and shadow deals.
You staged this bonfire! Yeah, you staged it! You staged it! Staged it! You staged it! You will be sentenced! Child abuser!
Keir Starmer didn't even make it to his first sentence before the room erupted. The moment he appeared, the atmosphere snapped. No polite applause, no cautious silence, just a surge of hostility that drowned out everything else. The boos were sharp, almost rehearsed, as if the crowd had been waiting for this exact moment. It wasn't the usual blend of hecklers and half-hearted supporters. This was a united front, glaring at the man they felt had failed them. Starmer's words stumbled into the chaos, swallowed by a wall of voices. The more he spoke, the louder they pushed back. Every arm folded, every head shaking, every chant, "You broke it!" was a public verdict delivered in real time. This wasn't politics as usual, this was open revolt. And for Starmer, there was no mistaking it. He'd lost the room before he'd even entered it. So how did Britain's would-be political saviour end up on the receiving end of such pure rejection? The answer starts long before this speech, and it only gets uglier from here.
Speak to this man, not your security. You have failed me.
Thank you.
I've been a Labour voter my entire life. You have failed to be the opposition. You have failed to ask whether lockdown was functioning. Do you understand? Thousands of people have died because you have failed to do your job and ask the real questions. Well, I am telling you now, and I hope this goes out, you have failed this country. You have.
They've been on the front line, keeping people alive.
From the second Keir Starmer's shoes hit that stage, the room felt wrong. These were supposed to be loyal Labour supporters, yet the energy was heavy, almost frozen. No applause to ease him in, no knowing smiles from the front row, just rigid faces and folded arms. He pushed ahead anyway, launching into his well-rehearsed script on the economy. Fiscal discipline, stable growth, a vision for the future. The kind of safe talking points that normally get polite nods. But here the words fell like stones. The crowd's eyes glazed over, their silence pressing in tighter with every sentence. Then came Brexit, his tightrope act. He tried to frame it as a unifying issue, a position broad enough to please both camps. Instead, it pleased neither. A ripple of discontent moved through the audience. People leaned back, crossed arms, shared sidelong glances. The tension was thick now, and everyone knew it was heading somewhere. That breaking point arrived when Starmer pivoted to foreign policy and to Israel and Gaza. Rejecting a ceasefire, he painted it as an impossible fix. The room didn't just cool further, it began to turn.
You child abuser! You child abuser! Where's Jimmy Savile? Where's Jimmy Savile? Get back!
That's when the dam broke. The crowd's response wasn't applause, and it wasn't quiet disinterest, it was sharp, cutting disapproval. The change was instant. All that quiet frustration simmering beneath the surface finally spilled into the open, with Starmer standing dead centre in its path. It began as low murmurs, the kind that a speaker can almost pretend not to hear. But then a single boo cut through the air, followed by another, then a wave of them, rising from every corner. The dynamic shifted in a heartbeat. This wasn't an audience listening to a politician. This was a room rejecting him. Starmer froze for half a beat, deciding whether to address the hostility or plough ahead. He went for the latter, pushing his voice harder, trying to command the space. But the more he raised his tone, the louder the pushback became. Skepticism had turned into open defiance. Shouts began slicing through his sentences. A woman near the front stood abruptly, her voice carrying over the noise as she demanded answers about healthcare and child services. That lone act was a spark. Others rose, voices overlapping, throwing their grievances straight at him. This wasn't some protest outside the venue. This was a confrontation happening face to face, with nowhere to retreat.
Anyone remember voting for this?
Fucking cunt, you see through all your lies, you're a cunt in disguise. Keir Starmer.
What about you, Richie?
Well, actually, Clark, no, we did not sign up to this because we believe in having our own sovereignty, our own sovereign parliament, not giving it to a foreign power, so it's a load of bollocks.
And you, Jojo, do you remember this being on any mandates?
Oh my god, of course I don't remember anything like this, Clark. The man is so fucking bent, he'd make a gay man look straight.
The interruptions came in steady waves, calculated, unshakable, and fueled by frustration. Every time Starmer tried to press on, the room slipped further from his grasp. This wasn't an audience waiting politely for a Q&A. They'd already delivered their verdict, and it was final. What started as scattered discontent had hardened into full rejection. Many in the crowd had once pinned their hopes on him. Now they stood as his loudest critics. Then the chant began. Soft at first, almost under the breath. We are in crisis. But it grew, spreading from one row to the next until it filled the hall. It wasn't violent. It didn't need to be. The relentlessness of the words made them hit harder, each repetition slicing through his speech like a warning siren. Some voices demanded change. Others called for accountability. A few didn't bother speaking at all. They simply turned and walked out, heads shaking. Even the Labour MPs seated behind him couldn't mask their unease. One stared at his notes but never lifted his pen. Another kept her eyes fixed on her phone, anything to avoid the sight of the crowd. Their body language was unmistakable. This was a disaster unfolding in real time, and no one on that stage knew how to stop it. Brows of people rose from their seats, filing out with silent judgment. Starmer's voice strained to carry over the noise, but the words no longer mattered. The connection was broken. The audience wasn't just walking away from his speech. They were walking away from him.
True democracy is citizen-led. Politics needs an update. We demand a people's house. We demand a people's house. We are in crisis. We are in crisis. Our whole future.
In the days that followed, the shockwaves only grew. For many Labour supporters, the Southport fiasco confirmed their worst fears. Starmer was no longer speaking for them. Once seen as steady and pragmatic, he now came across as disconnected and unsure. Brexit remains one of the ghosts that haunt him. In 2016, he championed Remain and fought for a second referendum, tying Labour's hopes to overturning the vote. Today, he dodges the topic entirely, urging the country to move on. But the public hasn't. Pro-Brexit voters see him as an opportunist. Pro-Remain loyalists feel betrayed. His careful neutrality has managed to alienate both sides, deepening the divide. Southport wasn't simply about Gaza or economics. It was a release of months of pent-up distrust. The anger wasn't tied to one soundbite. It was about a pattern. A leader who once promised conviction now treading water, afraid to plant his flag anywhere. His economic policies tell a similar story. While framed as responsible and forward-looking, they carry the scent of conservative orthodoxy. Fiscal discipline, balanced budgets, safe language for moderates, but to Labour's traditional base, a sign the party is drifting from its roots.
People demand democracy. People demand...
Yeah, that's your name.
Just stand back a bit.
Stand back a bit.
People demand democracy.
What's your name?
Stand back.
Stand back. Move back.
Thank you.
Then came foreign policy. Refusing to back a ceasefire in Gaza didn't just disappoint some, it outraged them. Many expected Labour to take a bold moral stand. Instead, they saw cold calculation and a reluctance to risk anything for principle. The unrest isn't confined to the streets. Behind closed doors, MPs have started whispering. Some question whether Starmer can carry the party into the next election. Others are already gaming out what a leadership challenge might look like. And then came the Trump turn. After years of denouncing him, Starmer suddenly praised certain aspects of Trump's international approach and hinted at closer cooperation with a possible second term. For many in Labour, this was the red line. This was the man they had branded as dangerous and divisive, now being spoken of as a potential partner. It didn't look like strategy, it looked like surrender. Starmer's team calls these shifts a bid for electability. But for party loyalists, it feels like the movement's soul is being traded for poll bumps. Working class protection, social justice, political courage, values that built Labour's identity, now seem buried under vague positioning and centrist play. It's not just Gaza or Trump. Even when he addresses complex issues like terrorism, his statements land like fog. Broad warnings, no clear vision. To critics, it's another sign of a leader managing optics rather than leading with conviction. Labour's identity crisis is now in full view. Every pivot, every focus group phrase pulls the party further from the ground it once stood on. Voters sense the uncertainty, and in politics, uncertainty kills. Some long-time members are angry. Others are simply leaving. Within the grassroots, frustration is hardening into anger. Social media swells with posts from lifelong Labour supporters saying they no longer recognise the party. Senior figures too are growing uneasy. Leadership challenge rumours are no longer far-fetched. They're whispered possibilities. What was once billed as a cautious strategy now looks like political drift. Southport was the proof. The boos, the walkouts, the chants, they didn't come from enemies, they came from the base. His team may chalk it up to an unusually volatile crowd or a rough news cycle, but the truth is harder. Starmer is losing touch with the people who put him in power. Every careful dodge and softened stance drives the wedge deeper. This isn't one misstep. It's the slow erosion of trust. A party that once stood for working class power and bold ideals now struggles to explain what it stands for at all. If Starmer doesn't find his footing soon, the next rebellion may not come from an audience in a public hall, it could erupt inside his own party. He came in promising unity, now he's staring down open revolt. Southport wasn't a bad night, it was the warning shot. Whether he can recover or whether this is the beginning of the end remains to be seen. What do you think? Is Starmer's leadership salvageable, or is Labour heading for another storm? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for more no-spin political breakdowns. This story is far from over.